Here we are.
Good afternoon.
Wait, it doesn't look like it's starting.
It says
yet.
it's starting. Yeah.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're excited to be this Facebook Live meeting, and it's going to work this time.
Definitely.
We tried this last week, and we had a lot of people that were really excited to watch it, and the audio worked for all of 5 minutes. So it's going to be. So this is our take 2 because there was lots of interested folks, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, it sounds like people are interested about learning about us.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So let's have you start, Ashley. People want to know about you, where you're from, your family, etc. And then we're going to talk about like how you ended up running this whole Western Spirit thing.
So I'm originally from Arkansas. I went to college in New Hampshire, and then I went to business school, and then I went to Wall Street, and I hated it. And I wasn't good at living in New York City. And so one thing led to another, and I ended up running a bike factory, Merlin, that made titanium bikes.
You're CEO.
I was CEO of Merlin.
Merlin.
So someone had to be.
Titanium bikes.
Yeah, it was very exciting. And then we sold Merlin to Saucony, the shoe company, because they wanted to build bikes. Crazy. And I came out to Moab, and then one thing led to another again, and I ended up buying Western Spirit before I met Mark. And my parents were a little worried. At first they were telling people when I came to Moab, they were like, we think she's on sabbatical. We're not really sure. And then Mark and I got married, and we started working on new trips, and we've been doing that for 400 years now.
Yeah, no, not 400 years.
Like 25. And we have our son, Kip, is going to be 20 tomorrow.
20 tomorrow.
20
Happy
tomorrow.
birthday, Kip, tomorrow.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And he's over in Durango riding his bike and hopefully going to class.
I think he's probably going to class too. He is getting lots of bike riding as well.
Yeah. So now what about you?
So I worked for this giant corporate company for a bazillion years, 18 years, and traveled around everywhere, lots of flight miles and lots of rental cars. And was married to a really incredible independent woman named Danae, who really didn't need me all that much. But we'd see each other on the weekends and we'd spend time. But then we found out after 10 years of marriage we were having a kid. And so I decided I needed to be home.
Yeah.
And so we pivoted. They let me select kind of an area that I would want to live in. And I met Danae mountain biking. Which is crazy, right? So that's I met her in Colorado mountain biking. So we said, well, we want to go to a place where there's mountain biking. So we chose Moab.
Yeah.
So I came to run a business here. And, well, you know the rest of it. I got to know Ashley. I was the president of the Chamber of Commerce here and got to know Ashley. And I got this company through COVID, and it was really difficult. And so she came and said, hey, come and run Western Spirit and Outer Bike. And you get to talk bikes and be on bikes every day. And I said, okay.
Everyone in town wanted to hire him, but we're lucky he picked us.
No, not everyone. But it was a really great move. And I'll tell you, one of our hashtags is experience over things.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that this I think a culture you created is it's experiences. And so I've had the time with my family. We've had some great adventures and some great experiences. And just like Western Spirit, it's like the best trips ever. It's the best company ever. Aww. And it's been really great for everyone involved.
Okay. Well, it's it's a funny way to make a living.
Especially right now.
Yeah, especially right now. But it is pretty amazing when when you see the people come back from the trips and they're all dirty and tan, and they look a lot different than they did at the beginning when they were a little nervous and not sure what they'd signed up for. And then they come back and they are just so glowing. They're
happier.
So much fun. Yeah. And part of it is the digital detox, definitely, that you're not so glued to, you get to be in the moment. You're not just constantly looking at something else and trying to think about some other person that's not in the room or something that's in the future. You actually get to be in the moment. And I
spoke with a guest that came off a trip this last fall, and he talked about digital detox.
Yeah.
And he said it was the best trip ever, best thing ever, most incredible food. And then he said, I got done with the trip, and I had some self-service and I didn't care. And I thought that was the best thing that could happen when it comes to digital detoxing and having experiences over things. We were winning for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is the crazy thing. You think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be gone the whole week or 5 days or whatever, and you think that you're going to miss all this stuff and it's going to be really a problem, and then you go and it feels like you've been gone a whole month, but really you've only been gone a few days and nothing really happened, so you're fine. So
all right, so here's what I want to know. So you've traveled over. Talk about where you were maybe born and why you stayed here in Moab.
oh, why Moab?
Yeah.
So Moab is well, first of all, sooner or later everyone turns up here.
That's true.
It's
That's
amazing
true.
how many people come to visit, and it's just a really special place where we have national parks, we have national forests, and we have BLM lands, and there are not that many places where all those things come together, and there is so many ways to get outside here. Probably everything that's ever been invented for outdoor recreation is happening in Moab almost every day.
True.
I mean, seriously, like all that equipment, every piece of clothing.
The most incredible climbing, most incredible biking, most
boating,
incredible hiking, rafting.
Yeah. So, and we also have stuff to do, like just if you want to go walk around and look at things, like you don't even have to be, there's so much beauty here. It's fun just to go look. Like when you have either little kids or really old people that you're taking around, there's stuff to do for them too.
Anyone with Velcro shoes. Either way.
Well, I have a lot of flip-flop destinations where I take people that only have flip-flops. So
tell us what else. Now that you've been in Moab for a long time, what else are you involved with? So Western Spirit, and by the way, celebrating our 35th year.
I know.
Pretty huge.
Huge. It is huge.
Outer Bike celebrating our 15th year.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that maybe at another Facebook Live.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Incredible job.
Yeah.
And but on top of that, you've got a lot of other things going on.
Yeah.
So talk about those.
One of them is I'm part of this nonprofit called Public Land Solutions, and we work with communities who are adding outdoor recreation to their economic development strategies. And
anyone that's smart is doing that right now.
Yeah. It's a big deal because it used to be just about tourism, kind of, and now because of remote work, it's about attracting business investment. So outdoor recreation opportunities have become like a mainstream business economic development driver. It's crazy. I mean, it used to be if you were the mayor of some small town, fire, water, police.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're fire, water, police, trails. People want to do trails. And so Public Land Solutions, we work directly with communities and help them identify what recreation assets they should invest in and what they should use, how they should attract people, and what they can do to help their own locals get outside more. And then we also work on the policies and laws that affect these communities. So sometimes there's really good news, like when we passed the Land and Water Conservation Fund, and that gave money for recreation assets. In fact, maybe you're going to get some of that money for those trails that you're working on.
That's right. But I'll talk about that. What else are you involved with? I mentioned the chamber.
Oh yeah, the chamber. Yeah, you tricked me into becoming the president of the chamber. And the Moab Chamber is really interesting because we are nonpartisan. And we are all about, the goal of the chamber right now is to make Moab the best performing recreation gateway community in the world. So we want to, and we really mean that, like the world, because we have the raw material and we want to make sure that everyone who lives in Moab, we're working on making sure nobody's sleeping in their car, no kids are going to school hungry. Like we want to make the economy work so that it really serves the community. And the fact is, I mean, the visitors are the community. That's the thing. Like so many visitors, Moab lives rent-free in their hearts because it's part of their sport, right? And the chamber in the past has been a little more traditional, and now we're really looking at, we are Moab. We need to be doing things the Moab way. So I'm really excited about what's coming up for the chamber and how we're working on supporting the community.
And businesses in Moab are the best. We have them all over the board.
Yes.
All over the board.
Yeah.
Lots of hospitality, but also every kind of guiding thing that you can think of.
Right.
As well as some real traditional businesses as well. So it's a fun, when we get together, there's some pretty fun meetings.
It's true. They're really interesting people, and they come from all over the world too.
Awesome.
And I love it when there are people who have backgrounds like you did, a corporate background, who can come and teach all the guides how to work in the office, because sometimes it's a tricky transition.
It is. It is.
Okay, so now what have you been doing?
So we moved here, like I said, when my daughter was only 1 week old.
Wow,
So we've
I didn't know that.
been here almost 9 years
Wow.
in Moab, and since then I've been involved with lots of different boards and groups and organizations. Right now, I'll just talk about probably the ones that are the most fun or taking up the most time, depending on which. So,
not always the same thing.
No, but this one, I mean, there's a few that are. So I'm on the hospital board, which is really important.
Right.
And this is the most serious board I've ever been part of, because we're really talking about life and death stuff, you know? And the past boards, it's been like, yeah, it'll be fun, we'll make money, or it'll be fun, we'll go and bike that trail. But this is like, somebody could die if we don't do this. So it's the most serious board I've been on. But also,
that must be really hard for you.
It is really hard. It's really hard for me. It's funny when and I think my wife even said that. She's like, "You're looking very serious," you know. And I don't ever look very serious.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But I'm on the hospital board. Really important work, and especially for this little community. I love the work that we're doing there. And
it's
then
a great team over there.
And then I've been involved with Trail Mix, which is our local trail advocacy group,
right?
Advisory group.
Right.
And so we advise Grand County and say, hey, we think we should build this trail, or we think we should maintain this more, or we should add more miles here. Right now, I'm the chair of Trail Mix, and probably one of the funnest projects I've been working on for the last 3 years. 3 years,
I know.
maybe more. Is just south of town, called Mud Springs, and it's going to be an e-bike approved, like opening e-bike approved and
Right.
adaptive approved,
Yeah.
and built specifically for theirs, as well as NICA, so high school kids.
Yeah.
So we're building it for all those things in mind, and that's happening right now. So
wow.
some pretty exciting
It's very
things.
good. It's funny because when I was at Merlin, I served as the chair of IMBA, International Mountain Bicycling Association, and we had board meetings all over the country. And we would go, and there would be these nonprofit trail groups, all ending in MBA. So Babumba, and it went on forever. And they all had T-shirts, but they were only men's T-shirts. But they always gave me a T-shirt, and I had this giant collection of really way too big T-shirts for a while. But I learned a lot about how different communities are solving the trail building problem and what they're doing. It's really impressive. But what was so cool about Trail Mix when it first started, because it was a county-sponsored committee, it meant that all the land managers came to every meeting.
They do still.
And that's really important. I mean, that has been a sort of, I've sent the Trail Mix charter to other counties that are trying to start similar trail groups, because once you have a government-to-government entity, I mean, the NGOs and the nonprofits are really important and do incredible work. And but that was the key to how we kind of got it going in Moab, was Trail Mix. So thank you for carrying that on.
Our last meeting we had over 30 people.
Yeah.
A lot of community members that just wanted to chat about trails, but we had the county, the city, NPS, the state parks, BLM folks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really great. You're right. We have all the stakeholders together,
right,
and we make decisions. It's the best.
Well, and like when Sandy was running it, she was so she'd have notes, and she'd say, okay, you BLM person over there, you said last month that you were gonna get this trail flagged.
Yeah.
Did you do it?
How'd it go?
Yeah. and then she started making cookies every time we opened a new trail. Oh. That was pretty amazing, because there were a lot of meetings in a row where there were always cookies.
I would bake cookies for every trail. Actually, let me clarify. I'd let Danae. They'd be good.
They'd
be good cookies.
If you had to.
So a lot has happened with Western Spirit in 35 years.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely.
I've only been on board for 3 or 4 years of it. It's been incredible. But one big kind of exciting thing that people are really curious about is our building.
Yeah.
And so we're maybe thinking of doing a tour in our new building, maybe further on. But what can you tell folks about our new building, why we built it, any other info that's happening with it, maybe a little bit about our guide housing?
So we had this building on this same location, and it was built in the 1950s in probably about 15 minutes. And
Lots of cinder block.
Yeah, it was all cinder block, and fairly terrifying. And it had this basement. And the basement was where there were some bunk rooms and a kitchen and a living room, and the bike mechanic, the bike shop, was right there, and a couple of storage rooms, and it just, so there were many guides kind of living in and out of there all the time, and then things would happen, like suddenly they painted it yellow. and there would be these, it was a really good place to go for when you had to get dressed up, because I'm not that good at like Halloween and parties. And I would go down there and they would just have costumes, and it was,
our guides have always had a lot of fun.
Amazing, yeah. And so then Bike Magazine came and wrote an article about it. And the title of that article was "Heaven Has Yellow Walls." And it's pretty darn fun to be a guide at Western Spirit and to be in that culture and have that community, but the basement was a little bit frightening. And then there would be signs, like they started putting up signs about things, like wash your dishes kind of signs, and it was just too many signs at one point. Like, no,
your mama doesn't live here.
Yeah, all those signs, like it was crazy. But so it was a little bit nostalgic. People were sad that we were going to blow it up.
Yeah, but it was falling over. It was
falling over.
It was time to upgrade.
Yeah, like it was terrible. So we suddenly figured out that the SBA was going to help us, and we could get a loan and make this happen. And we had the best contractor ever, who says that, and
Littlerock Construction.
Yeah, he's the best. And so and we had a great architect, and we just made it. So we still have the basement, only it's not yellow, and they're not allowed to randomly paint it.
No, it's beautiful.
But it's we have a commercial kitchen and guide hangout, and we have dorm rooms now, and it's definitely a lot nicer. So I think they're going to try to get a drone to fly around the building, which will be pretty exciting. So
we can share that.
Get to share that, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll share more about that and the whys. I mean, the other two times we want to chat with you all, because you had lots of questions about is about outer bikes, so we're going to do that, and then maybe more of a tour where they can see it in person. Yeah,
because we have this patio that's on the top floor that is one of the only places in town you can see the LaSalle Mountains in the Moab portal from the same place.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of a outdoor-indoor office building and very Moab-y, and so we look forward to sharing.
Yeah. All right, last thing for you, and this is not written down, so this is just on the spot here, okay?
Okay, ready.
What's something that nobody would know about you? And I'll answer the same. So I'll start, okay?
Okay, you go
first. So when I shared this with the guides, who, by the way, it is better with a guide. We always say that. It's one of our hashtags. Our guides are so much fun.
Yeah.
I shared this at our last guide meeting. When I was in 5th grade, I was in a yo-yo competition, okay? and took second place to a 6-year-old. 6-year-old took first place. 6-year-old beat me in a yo-yo competition. In 5th grade. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's something
dedicated.
That's something you'd never know about me. Okay.
Yeah.
How about you?
I've flown a plane all by myself.
Have you really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Who would let you fly a plane? I want to have a chat with that person.
It was bad because when I was a second year of business school, a bunch of people in my class that were engineers, a bunch of guys that were engineers, they said, we're going to take flying lessons. We need one more person. You should do it with us. And so they paid this guy to give us ground school in 3 days.
Oh my goodness.
It usually takes like weeks. And so the first time I'm like, what's a vector? And they're like, keep going, she'll figure it out. And so anyway, so after you do ground school, which I passed by like 3 points.
Did you pass?
Yeah. But then I had to go to the airport, and you fly with your instructor. And when you land a plane, you don't just fly straight into the ground. You lift up the nose. And then I couldn't see over the hood. So I was kind of dropping the wheels, And they said, all right, you have got to bring a pillow. So I started showing up at the airport with a pillow, and they were calling me Crashly. I mean, it was rough. But
by the way, she's much better as a guide, okay? In case anyone's curious, than an air pilot.
But so I did my solo where you have to go around 3 times, and I did that. And
with only you in the plane?
Yes.
And you took off and landed?
You have to touch and go 3 times.
Holy cow.
And then I moved to New York, and so I couldn't keep, there's a lot of lights in northern New Jersey. I couldn't learn, but it was cool.
Wow. Well, I learned something, lots of things about Ashley. crashly
Yeah, right.
that I
Don't start
wouldn't
that.
have known before. But anyway, we're really grateful for anyone that takes a look at this, and hopefully lots of people see it later on. Feel free to comment and put any questions you have for our next one.
We've already run our first trip this year.
That's right.
Just finished on Friday.
The Methow.
Yeah.
In Arizona.
In Arizona, which is a super fun way to start the year. I kind of wish I'd been there. It's so beautiful. You ride around the saguaros, and it's there's all kinds of different, like some of it's pretty mellow and some of it's a little harder, but it's really beautiful, and the weather is warm.
Do you know how I know when our trips are done?
Uh-huh.
Our guests get invited to rate our trips, and lots of 5 stars came in all at once for
good.
Methow. So not only did our guys love it, but our guests love it as well.
Yeah.
So that's a good kickoff to the season.
Yeah.
It started.
Yeah, that's what we always want. When the guides call in, we want them to say, "It was the greatest trip ever. I love my co-guide, and the truck is running great."
That's right. All of those things. So this is your sign. If you haven't signed up for a trip yet in 2025, make sure you do it now.
Yeah.
It's the best thing you'll ever do.
And we're all good. We've talked to all our permit managers. Nothing scary. There's a few scary things happening out there, but they're not affecting our trips. So
no, our trips are to get away from all the scary stuff.
Yeah, they get
right?
away.
That's the whole point of Western Spirit. So.
It's a great.
Well, we're so glad you all joined us, and sounds like you'll be hearing from us again, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, you heard it.
Right.
She said it. Thanks,
Take
everybody.
care,
Bye-bye.
everyone.